So, we have our players sitting at the table, getting their shuffles and opening hands. We have Steve on the left side, Dason on the right. Again, no idea what cards are in their decks. We do not get cards lists here, and we are not over there to watch them draft. So we will just have to see it come off the top of their deck and see what they get to play with. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Andy, and my co-host for the night is Alex. He's had to step away for a minute, but we are very glad you guys are joining us. Guys and gals are joining us here at Other Realms on our stream on Twitch. Other Realms, comic and game specialist, coming to you live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Aloha to all of you at home. And we have Steve playing against Dason.
Awesome. Dason's one of our younger players at the store. Just started playing pretty recently as well, but also advancing very quickly. And
he's popped up on camera towards the end of the tournaments multiple times so far. We've only been streaming for a month, and he has been at the top table several times.
Dason actually and his dad came with us to GP Vegas this past couple months, and he had his taste of his first GP experience, and he loved it. And it's always great seeing new players come into Magic,
always
and
good.
Enjoying this wonderful game that we play.
And we got a double mulligan.
Oh, okay.
If you're gonna mulligan, it always feels good when the other player does too.
Yeah. We both start with a fair 6 cards or 5 cards.
It's a little less pain.
Yeah.
So hopefully they each light their hand this time and we get the game on their way. As I was saying earlier, we don't know what they're going to be playing.
Not at all.
It's a draft format.
It looks like Dason is on blue,
black,
blue red,
so
red Wizards.
Yeah,
maybe he's on. Oh, he's on Teamer.
Whoa.
Okay, 3. Wait, is that?
That's Urgos.
4. No.
3 color.
Sultai.
Yep, Sultai.
Sorry, not Teamer. Sultai. All right, 3 color Sultai. He's got a Journey Mage and an Urgos.
And more importantly, he's got 4 lands.
He's got 4 lands, and
when you're mulliganing, you want to see some lands. And we got Boros over on Steve's side.
Yep, we got Chronicler, Lava
Runner, and Radiating Lightning. With 3 lands. So both of them with the land to play.
Yep. So Steve actually is on one of those tempo aggro decks. Red-White Boros is a very solid one in this current Dominaria format. There's a few flyers in both of them as well, so there's a little bit of a mid-range flying element, but otherwise it's your classic Boros, low to the ground, smack you fast, hit you with some dark damage.
Red-White does what it does and tries to do it quick. So 1/2, no haste because he doesn't have any cards in graveyard yet.
Yep, but he can attack with it this turn.
Oh yeah.
I think he's just figuring out if he wants to do it before or after his main one. Oh, so he decides to play the Skirk Prospector.
Just a 1/1, but lets him ramps by sacking goblins.
But also, he doesn't, because he had the Gitu Chronicler. I think he might be saving it for
to get back a spell. Yeah, he might have a fight with fire or something like that.
The kicker is relevant, so might as well play something that does the same amount of power on turn 1. So it looks like Dason
had the Journey Mage was his first play.
Sure.
So he's just waiting to get some mana.
Yep.
To get his
in a slower format, this is totally accessible because the Journey Mage will bounce a creature,
and he's got Grow from the Wild.
Okay.
Or Grow from the Ashes. Sorry.
Perfect. I actually think it's relevant for him to unkicked cast the next turn so that he can play Journey Mage.
Just to get that tempo. Yep. Get that next turn.
Yep. And Steve isn't presenting threats that are overtly dangerous yet. I mean, they're all 1 damage kind of threats.
Hasn't had to burn anything out yet. So
exactly.
May as well play the Chronicler or get another beater around.
So we'll see if Dason decides to... Yep, he grows for 1 instead of the kicker, so he'll get a free land to come into play. He decides to take his second black source, which will allow him to cast Urgabos, which is really good. He's still going to take 3 this turn, but next turn he'll be able to bounce one of Steve's creatures to prevent some more damage and have a relevant blocker because it's a 3/2 and it blocks favorably into all 3 of Steve's creatures. Unfortunately, he has to take 3 right now, but we'll see what happens because now he can play Journey Mage on 5 and then Urgabos on 6. Here comes that Journey Mage. Let's see what he decides to bounce.
I don't think he bounces the Chronicler.
I don't think so either. But yeah, bouncing Lava Runner.
Lava Runner is a good choice. There's still no
cards in the
graveyard.
Graveyard.
It's not going to get haste.
And his Academy Journey Mage blocks favorably against the other two creatures. So he's in good shape right now.
And he gets the biggest creature on the board next turn.
Yep. And Steve also doesn't necessarily have a flying...
yeah.
Like, Red-White does not have a ton of...
There's a few angels in the
There's
set.
some.
If he has
Yeah.
a Lyra in there,
There's,
which is not out of the question.
Lyra, Tiana, there's some red. Varix, Bladewing,
Chalet.
Teshar.
Yeah, there's some good... There's the Dragon Twins.
Yeah, yep. Varix, Bladewing.
But notably, they're all rare or mythic.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Except for Sarah Angel.
Sarah Angel's very good for 5.
We'll see what he gets. We'll see what he gets.
We'll see. So, unfortunately, looking at Steve's hand, he doesn't have very many favorable attacks, but I think he's going to jam anyway.
He's representing a spell.
Yeah.
Now, usually bluffing a spell can be worth it. Right now, he's risking losing a 1/1 or a 3 or a 1/3. Neither of which are going to be all that important later on.
Agreed.
Now, if I'm going to be bluffing a spell, I probably would have waited to cast the Lava Runner.
Yep. Leaving your red mana up.
Because now he was just representing possibly Gideon's Reproach. But he was able to push through a point of damage.
The big thing about Urgobos here that gives Dason a little bit of advantage over Steve is that the discard effect that Urgobos does kind of induce is really rough for a red-white deck who's already kind of low on card draw answers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, red-white not notable for their ability to draw more cards. Once they're empty-handed, they're pretty much playing what they draw.
Yeah, so when Urgobos hits him, he discards a card at random, Hypnotic Spectre style.
But what if he doesn't have any cards?
But if he has no cards, that means Dason will get a card, and he'll get to draw a card, which is extra card advantage for anything with a blue deck, which blue decks love.
Feels great.
So you're coming in for 4, leaving up a decent blocker in case he just dies to something.
So here's the discard. Now,
I think
it's a random discard.
I believe.
Most Magic does not do random discards very often, so most people try to discard a card of their choice. And then that's when you get to say, whoa.
I think in response, Steve, since he doesn't want to lose, the Radiant Lightning is just going to deal 3 to Dason's face, to the dome.
I believe that was in response to being told it's a random discard.
Yeah, I think so.
Not in response to, oh, you got a discard.
I agree, yeah. But, so Steve has no hand now, because he discarded his last land.
But he did get 3 points of damage.
He
Dason
did.
notably down to 10.
So it is a little rough now, because now red-white has to be playing off the top. And because red-white plays off the top, and there's no direct damage that does 10, there's a little bit of issues for Steve closing out the game sort of deal.
Right.
But we'll see what happens here.
So I did not see what Steve drew.
Whatever it is, he has to either cast it on this turn, or cast it in response, or he's going to lose it.
Now, if it's an instant, he can... And now that Lava Runner will be a 2/2.
Right, and Adamant will make it
indestructible. So that is lethal for the Journey Mage. It was lethal for the Journey Mage.
In response, Dason is going to Ancient Animus, Urgoros, targeting the Journey Mage, or not the Journey, but the
Lava Runner.
The Lava Runner, which will give a 1/1 counter to a legendary creature, which Urgoros is, and they'll fight. So it's a 5/4 versus a 2/2, I believe.
It's a 1/2 still.
Oh, it's still a 1/2. Yeah, it's on the stack. Sorry, it's a 1 stack. The
relevant part being, it's not going to kill a Journey Mage.
Yep.
It's going to die well before it even gets indestructible.
Yep. And now going back to Dason, Steve has no cards in hand. Dason is going to get in over the top with Urgobos and be able to draw an additional card, which is really relevant here.
So Dason now on 2 cards a turn. Steve ahead on life, but definitely not with the advantage.
Yeah, if we had an advantage bar, it would be, I think, very squarely in Dason's.
Yep. Drawing a land.
Yeah.
That's not at all what you want to see.
It looks like Steve is going to kill a land, Probably the Memorial Folly.
So at this point in the game, Dason has multiple copies of each color that he needs.
And it looks like in response, Dason's going to sack the Memorial Folly to draw 2 cards. Very, very strong play. Memorial Folly is another... Or, sorry, this is Memorial Genius. He's using Memorial Genius to draw 2 cards. But Memorial Genius is one of my other cards that was severely underrated for this set.
Right.
It's basically a late game draw 2 cards for free, essentially, because it's a land and it's not an effect that can be countered, basically, because there's no disallow.
All of the memorials actually...
I'm not a fan of the red one.
They're not great for tempo. They come in tap. But the fact that they give you something to do later on when you have extra mana, not doing it.
The green one is great. The white one is great. The black one is great. The blue one's great. The red one destroys lands.
The red one, if Dason hadn't had multiple black sources.
Yes.
If he only had the one black, and you take out the black, he can remove him from that color.
Agreed.
So it has uses. It just might not be the most efficient.
Yeah. Of the 5, it's my least favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cycles are not always even across the board.
Agreed.
Just look at Alpha and you can see that very clearly.
Healing Salve, not necessarily my favorite of all of them.
Not nearly up there with the Ancestral Recall.
Yeah. Seems like Ancestral Recall's a little better.
Alright, looks like a...
Fiery...
Fiery Bombardment?
No, I think it's Fiery Influence or Confluence? Fiery Intervention.
Intervention. So trying to take out Urgas. Yep. And he was able to get him.
Yep.
Still left facing out a 3/5 Spider and a 3/2 Journey Mage.
And all the cards in Dason's hand.
That he drew.
Which there is a lot. He refilled his hand at this point. Vicious Offering takes out the Skirk Prospector.
Which leaves
lethal on the board. Or he can actually even just Merfolk Trickster, tap the creature.
Which looks like what he's doing.
No, Vicious Offering, just clean.
So this was just a clear case of card advantage.
So this is really why I like card advantage in this set, because it's slow, and 4, 5, and 6 is where you live, and 1, 2, and 3 is where you die.
So Dason, and part of the problem here, Steve being a red-white deck, I expect he had better attackers.
Yep.
And more combat spells.
Yep.
And he just didn't see the good attackers.
He saw his one power attackers, all of the 1 power attackers that he showed, a little, I guess, other than the Lava Runner, all were kind of like utility.
Not the ones
creatures.
You're looking to get the damage in.
They're not your beaters.
Right.
The Journey Mage, or the Chronicler gets back a spell to maybe finish off direct damage or removal. And the Skirk Prospector gets you to 4 or 5 early, and if you don't have anything to cast off of it, it's kind of just a 1/1.
Yep.
So I think going into the sideboard, I don't know what they have specifically, but Dason would want to look for just stuff to keep him alive early. He knows that his late game, now after game 1, he should know that it's much stronger than Steve's at the moment, because, I mean, just in general, colors-wise, he has the later kind of grindier deck.
He's seen the style that Steve is trying to bring to the table.
He knows Boros attack is attacking, so if he can sideboard in something like a 0/6 wall, that's actually a really good sideboard card here, because on the ground, not a ton of stuff gets through it.
And we didn't see any flying at all out of Steve. I mean, again, we didn't see much because he only got...
He might have angels and stuff, but completely blind and knowing what we know, I think you just try to...
Now, seeing the colors that Steve's in, I would not be surprised if game 2 or game 2, we might see a game as quick as Ernest was in the first round.
It's possible,
Red-White is very capable of a very fast start.
Red-White is very, very dynamic.
And Dason's first creature wasn't until turn 5.
4, I think, because he ramped up.
With the grow from that.
Yeah.
Turn 4. By then, he could very easily be at 10 life against
He could be dead. He could be dead, on the next swing back. But Steve has to present either a threat early, or the key with red-white in this current in Dominaria seems to be that you have to have a decent red or white creature to start, and then on 2, 3, or 4, either give it a piece of equipment or a solid enchantment, or something to make it big, and then that thing has to survive.
Which is the tough part.
But if it does survive, it just rolls over your opponent, like we saw on Ernest's game. So let's see on their starting 7 here.
Hopefully no mulligans. Again, both players mulligan last game.
It looks like
Dason's
Dason's
already...
6. And
he didn't even take long to make that decision.
No. Probably a 1 or less lander.
Steve looks to be either
Looks pretty
keeping
good.
or deciding over it very strenuously.
Gingerly. Yeah. Let's see. So he has 3
3
lands,
lands.
which is great. He
Turn.
has the Lava Runner, Radiating Lightning, Call for the Cavalry, and the Champion of Flame. So Champion of Flame is the kind of card we're talking about. Champion of Flame is a 1/1 for 2, 1 red, 1 generic, and for each enchantment or equipment that's equipped to Champion of Flame, it gets +2/+2. So, for example, if you put Dub on Champion of Flame, it becomes a 5/5 for a striker.
From the dub and its own ability.
Correct. So that's the kind of thing. However, the perfect answer to that specific kind of thing is Academy Journey Mage.
Yep. So he's got 3 lands,
4
Ancient
lands.
Animus,
Oh, 3 lands, yeah.
Journey Mage, and a Elfheim Druid.
That's actually pretty strong because the Druid will let him ramp into the
Accelerate.
Journey Mage. Yeah. Just like last game. So it looks like
Not bad from either player.
not bad. Yeah. Both of them are on their game plans.
Now, notably, Dason down a card,
Yep.
which is in Steve's favor as
But being
he
on the
will
draw is
quickly
nice.
lose card advantage.
Being on
to
the draw
Dason.
was nice. So
Attacking for 1,
Yep.
and he played the Champion of the Flame.
very standard play, and Steve, as long as he continues to curve out, should have a play every turn. We have yet to see an equipment or an aura, though.
Yeah.
So that Champion of Flame is still just a 1/1.
Yep. So there's the Druid,
Yep.
which is going to allow him to play a 4-mana spell next turn,
Yep.
if he has one. Memorial to Folly taps, so
This
Not
might
that big a
actually... No, well, he needs to get to 5 to activate it, so it'll be an expensive Stone Rain. Let's see. So it looks like more land here for Dason.
so up to 4 mana, but 5 is where he gets to cast a Journey Mage.
Yeah, so I don't think he gets to do anything this turn. Worst case scenario, no, he can't even fight with the Elohim Druid because there's no power involved.
Right, and it's not legendary, so
Yep.
it doesn't get a counter on it.
So he'll chump 1. Oh, this
Combat Trick
Radiating Lightning.
deals an extra point of damage.
Yep, and 3 to the face.
Yep.
Relevant.
So one of them was blocked, but he still took 1 from the other, plus
Yep.
the 3, 4 points of damage, and Steve was able to remove the creature from the board.
Which is really relevant because it buys him another turn for Journey Mage.
Yep, sets Dason back 1 entire turn's worth of mana.
That's a really big removal there because other than the Druid and the Journey Mage, we haven't seen Dason with any other major threats in his hand.
No.
I'm not sure what he drew here, but we'll see. Caligo Skin Witch. So he's just playing it.
Unable to kick it.
Yeah.
If he
it's
kicks
a 1
it,
free
may-
though.
It's a 1/3, which is good at blocking, but if you were able to kick it, Steve would have had to discard 2 cards.
Yeah. But it also makes his Academy Journey Mage cheaper by 1 because it's a wizard.
It is a wizard.
Relevant. So Steve, we know, has a call from the cavalry, call for the cavalry available if he wants it, and it looks like the Keldon Overseer. So the Overseer costs 7, and he'll steal a creature.
As it is right now, though, he's opting to put out 2
Yeah.
2/2 tokens with Vigilance.
We'll see.
So Steve's board getting much wider than Dason's
Yep, very
available
quickly.
blockers.
Like we're talking about with Ernest's game.
Yeah.
It can get quick like that. Not that it's all that relevant, but I would have liked to see Steve play that second main phase so that maybe he can keep up the white to represent Adamant Will, which we've seen.
By playing it first main phase, he now has a 2/2 Lava Runner, though.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that it pumps up the Lava Runner if you have 2
Yep,
instants
'cause
or
that's his
sorceries.
second one.
Yeah, sure.
So now that creates a bigger attacker, but opted not to attack.
Yeah. So here comes the bounce, and in this case, this will actually take out one of the knights if he decides to bounce it, because there's
Yep.
no hand for him to go back to.
If a token leaves the battlefield, it ceases to exist.
Yep. And actually, now Dason has somewhat stabilized in that on board, Steve doesn't have any favorable attacks.
Now, however, Steve has 5 mana plus a Memorial and could take Dason off of blue.
Yes.
If he opted to do that.
Correct. He also has... Oh, he has Frenzied Rage. Okay, so now this becomes
It's a double pump on the champion.
It's a 3/2/5/4 menace. It becomes a 5/4 menace. Because +2/+1 menace for a Frenzied Rage. So currently the champion is a 5/4 menace.
Which, if he did attack,
and we know
would
Steve
probably
has...
not make it through unless he has a trick.
Oh, so he interesting. So he decides to play the Warlord just to get damage in.
So he's going wider here because now, if Dason does decide to kill the champion, it will take both creatures because of menace.
Yeah.
But now by playing the 3/1 as just a 3/1 hasty attacker, it makes it less enticing to kill the larger 5/2 or
the 5/4.
The 5/4.
Mm-hmm. Like
without that extra 3/1,
yeah,
it doesn't seem like that bad a deal.
I think I'd probably still trade for the 5/4.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it only gets bigger.
And it's menace.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is all like 1 power, 2 power, 3 power, 1 toughness. Like, maybe I can deal with that.
But by playing the 3/1, it forces him.
Yeah, it makes him have this decision, certainly. That's a 2/2 as well.
Yep.
The other argument might have been to just go back 1 turn and wait for another land and then just steal a guy and go and try to win on 1 turn.
I like destroying the island.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad play too. We know that the island is very important to Dason. So his blocks
like he's
make
splitting
difference.
up blocks.
Okay, so he's gonna trade favorable. Well,
the Journey Mage and the Lava Runner trade.
Okay.
And then the Skin Witch and the Night bounce.
And then so you'll take 8.
Yep.
All right.
Problem is now he's still got a 5/4 menace.
Oh, is that a Demon Lord Benezzalok that he can cast right now? Yes. That is a 6/6 flying trample, but he might kill himself. Because what'll happen is Demon Lord Benezzalok will help him draw a card, and if for every card that he draws above above 4 casting cost, I believe, CMC 4.
Yep.
He'll take 1 damage, so he can play it, but he might kill himself.
It could cost him the game.
Yeah. This is one of the cool gambits I love about Dominaria. So if the CMC
that does
is
cost 4, so he does it again.
Yeah. That's 2
now he should be
damage.
setting him aside probably, so we know how much he's drawing. So he took 2 damage down to 4.
Yep.
I believe that was a land that he hit the second time.
Yep.
He's got 2 creatures which have to block the menace creature, which still lets 5 damage get through.
Agreed.
So it was a risky play.
I think he has to show the cards because it's exiled from the top.
Anytime you're doing something that has a quality that needs to be checked, you're required to show the card.
I believe he has to show one. Yeah. So Thran's Temporal Gateway and Neha Master Wizard, both of which are very interesting mythics.
But Demon Lord, even though it's a 6/6 flying blocker,
I don't think that's
a menace. That's lethal on board.
And then I believe Steve is able to play a Jousting Lance and equip it to his giant menace creature, which now makes it a large number, 10.
Yeah.
10/8 first strike menace.
Makes it more lethaler.
More lethaler. That's the
technical term. Yeah.
So with the more lethaler knight, like we talked about, the way that red-white tends to win is to slam
him up.
Yep, slam a creature early and then just tron him up.
Yeah.
Give him enchantments, auras.
This is my threat. Can you deal with it?
Yeah. And if you can't, then it gets out of hand very quickly. Yeah. However, if you can, it puts you back quite a bit.
Yeah. We saw game 1, Dason was able to deal with it.
Yep.
Game 2, with Steve on the play, just got out too quick. And
yep.
Once he was ahead, he didn't look bad.
I think the key play of that last match was when he Radiant Lightninged the
elf to get rid of the blocker.
To get rid of the blocker.
Not only did it get rid of a blocker, it set him back mana.
And it set him back 1 turn, which, if you actually are able to play the Journey Mage, sets Steve back a turn and a half because he has to recast everything.
So we got Aloha Rocketeer here commenting about that Demon Lord.
Yeah.
Coming up against Steve.
The interesting thing is the Demon Lord brought him into lethal range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was already... He had to do something. He had to do something.
I agree.
Because there was a menace creature that could not be blocked.
Yeah.
So you do what you have to do. And if you guys watching at home or chatting with us, our stream on Twitch, our chat is kind of iffy if we're going to see it or not. We apologize if we missed one of your comments. We're having issues with our live feed of the chat room coming through to us. The stream, we hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying it.
If you are chatting with us, we do have a system in place to hopefully get your comment to us, and we will try to acknowledge and respond back.
So it looks like Steve on turn 2 slammed the Knight of Benelia for 3-1, and then we have Alphamia Druid and a Thran's Temporal Gateway coming on turn 3.
May I make a confession?
Yep.
I didn't even know they started game 3.
That's okay. That's why I'm
that
here.
Was a quick sideboard.
I'm here for you, Andy.
Thank you very much, Alex.
I'm here for you.
Man.
One of the cool things about Thran's Temporal Gateway is that it's a very narrow amount of decks that can play it, because you have to have a lot of historic permanent payoffs.
Right.
But if you do have a lot of historic permanent payoffs, stuff can happen out of nowhere.
Instant speed.
Instant speed.
And they're legendary creatures,
yep.
so they're huge.
Yep. They're not just legendary, they're historics. So you can actually play a saga. You can flash in a saga that sacrifices a creature.
Instant speed enchantments are usually... They're enchantments for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't do them instant speed. And here we see that creature that was killed by the Radiant Lightning.
Yep.
Accelerating Dason by that turn.
Straight into the Journey Mage,
yep.
which sets Steve back a turn and a half almost, because he has to recast the Knight and he lost the Aura.
So aside from the Gateway, these are the exact same creatures that Dason played in game 2.
And this is the exact kind of same stuff that we saw Steve play. Steve wants to jam the Knight and the Champion, I think, again.
So
yep.
if I'm not mistaken, this would be like what you were saying about...
Thank you for the subscription, Sir Furry Furry.
That's
we miss you a lot. How are you doing?
It's pretty late where you are. Shouldn't you be in bed?
Yeah, but it must be quite late over there.
Or doing a midnight release?
That's right.
Pre-release?
Hope your pre-release went well. We definitely miss you out here in the islands.
Yep.
Looks like we got a giant or mammoth spider coming up for Dason on turn 4 or 5. Turn 5. And Steve again decides we're going to pump up the champion, the 5/4 Menace.
Did some good work last time.
Yep. There are definitely some favorable blocks still available for Dason with the Mammoth and the Journey Mage. If
Notably,
he feels like it.
Steve still has 2 mana up.
Yep. That screams Adamant Will to me.
It screams something to me.
Let's see. Run Amok. Very, very strong. It's +3/+3. And it gives trample to his creature, so that should be enough to take care of both creatures. And Steve
save the champion.
And save the champion. Steve is very happy to take the 2-for-1.
All right, looks like our chat might finally be getting back to us.
We are back, boys.
Yeah. We do have Jake. If it goes down again, Jake the tech guy will try and keep us informed of you guys' comments.
I'm excited to see a Demon Lord Benezzalok flashed in to block. That's what I want to see.
Before he's down to 6 life.
Yes, certainly.
That would be good.
Yeah. These are the kind of games I live for in Dominaria, where literally, if you're the Soul type player right now, you leave 6 mana up, and every attack has to feel bad for Steve.
Yeah,
because you don't know.
You see,
he has to look at it. Yeah, he has to look at it. He's like, he saw the key point is he saw Demon Lord Benezzalok at the end of last game, so he knows it's there. He also saw Neha Master Wizard, which has flash.
Now for Steve, though, he just drew Adamant Will.
Oh,
so
okay.
He is okay. Now, he doesn't need Dason to know he's okay with it.
That's right.
So, looking at that gateway to make sure he knows what he's facing, but he does have the option to protect whatever creature gets the surprise block.
Yep. I wonder if Dason has...
Can we get a look at Dason's hand?
Yeah, I'd love to see Dason's hand, if possible.
No, we can't. Dason's being very secretive. Okay.
Okay.
So, Dason... Now, I don't want to influence the game at all. After asking to see Dason's hand, I'm a little worried that we might have given too much away. But
so Dason decides to play Sylvan Awakening. This is a very interesting card. All his lands become 2/2 indestructible flying. 2/2 indestructible reach hasty creatures until the beginning of his next turn.
So that's going to buy him a turn where he can actually block 2/2 indestructible, so he can block and deal damage.
Yep.
Hopefully, get rid of that Champion of the Fire.
It buys him a complete turn. A lot of times, Sylvan Awakening is it's a card that's a little weird in Dominaria because there's only it gets the flexibility is nice, but it gets weird because you can't use your lands if you're using them as blockers.
Right.
And then next turn, it's kind of like Foggish in one way, but if you use it offensively, you can just win the game when you have a lot of mana.
It's a nice take on the classic card Living Lands.
Yes.
The problem with Living Lands, your lands became 1/1s and very easy to kill.
Right.
So indestructible, and the fact that this is only for one turn gets rid of a lot of the scary parts of that card. Dason just not having a good go this game.
It looks like he wasn't able to get the rest of his
like
threats.
you said, Sylvan Awakening bottom the turn.
And the Benezzalok was the next one on top.
So close. That's just like a demon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's sitting there to laugh at you. That's what demons do.
But Benezzalok is one of those things that reminds me of Bob greatness at any cost. Unfortunately, the cost was Dason.
Yeah.